Hey again, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Speaking of Sundara, where I talk about Sundara Dawn of a New Age, my fantasy RPG setting. It's been a while since I've talked about this particular part of my gaming career, and we've been moving a little slower on Sundara content, but we've hit something of a milestone and come full circle in a lot of ways, and I wanted to reach out to you as the audience and both talk about where we are, how we got here, and hopefully where we all go from here. But for those who have not been here for the whole journey since we started, I'll begin at the beginning. Sundara began with an assignment to make a fantasy city. Originally, it was just going to be another random fill-in book of here's a city you could put in your setting. But the idea grew and became something much more, and that was where we got Ironfire, the City of Steel, the first of the Cities of Sundara books. And in that particular supplement, I opened it with a short story called The Duel. The Duel was also the first audio drama that I made from Sundara for this channel. It wasn't our first audio drama. I did some World of Darkness stuff before then, but that's neither here nor there. And that was 3 years ago that I wrote it, and several years ago that I dramatized it. And between then and now, I've put out 17 or 18 supplements for the setting. And I have plans for lots of other stuff that I could do. But in those 3 years, we've covered cities, we've covered species, and we've covered faction books, along with at least one supplement that's just a list of random stuff for storytellers who want to be running in this setting and who need a few extra effects of a Primquake for a unique random encounter. But with Merchants of Sundara, our latest release for it, which talked about some of the biggest and most famous merchants you'll come across when traveling the setting, I realized I had unintentionally done something, and it's that I had brought us right back to where we began, in Ironfire. Because the story, Swords and Sand, is a direct sequel to The Duel, and in a lot of ways, that book represents coming back to where we started for this arc of we began with cities, and I wanted cities to be the biggest type of settlement, the biggest sort of power structure you find in Sundara. But because I did that, because I got rid of the idea of nation states as we think of them in our modern day, I had to replace them with something, and the factions books have mostly been just pointing out that even if you don't have a government that claims large pieces of territory, even if you don't have an empire, even if you don't have a country, people will still form organizations that will attempt to extend their reach outward, that through their members will attempt to exert force and authority. And that's why we get things like mercenary companies or guilds or merchants in this case, because while some of the merchants are very small, like the Red Orchid Forge is just a single place and a handful of weapons makers, but others are massive region-spanning operations. This is how you create merchant princes or proto-corporations, I suppose, in a way. Of they have a brand, they have something that only they can offer, or they have a service that only they can provide. And I felt that that was an interesting way to not end where I was going, but an interesting stopping point of once we've realized that it's organizations rather than countries that exert more force in this setting, it then begs the question of, if that's true, where do we go from here? What needs to be done next? And a while back, I made a video talking about the potential future of Sundara, and I talked about some of the things I would like to do, and I've filled this in several other videos. But this week, I wanted to reach out, and I wanted to ask viewers out there, whether you're playing the setting or whether this is your first time hearing about it, I need your input on this. Because if left to my own devices, I could do literally anything. I could go back and make more cities and fill out more of the map. I could make a whole bunch of more towns, because not only did I enjoy that, but folks seem to as well. I could write adventure modules. I could create new rules for playing new species. I could finally get around to that humans book that I never actually made. But a lot of this is dependent on you, as our readers, as our viewers, as our players. We need your opinion, and if we're not hearing from you on social media, if we're not hearing from you in comment sections, we sort of have to play Oracle with the sales numbers, and that doesn't always give you what players want most, because if we're just looking at what sells well, folks might buy something and then never actually use it at their games, or they might just want more of the same, but they wish we would make X, Y, or Z type of product. And that's something I wanted to do this week. So if you are watching this video, if you made it this far, I would like you to please do me a favor. Down in the comments below, I want you to answer the series of questions I'm about to ask you. So please keep your ears open, keep this in mind. What sort of books would you like to see most for Sundara coming out? And this is in a mechanical sense of, do you want to see more locations? Do you want to see more species? Do you want adventure modules? Or do you want just more factions, more groups, organizations, things like that people can join? Secondly, do you just want this to remain a gaming setting, or do you want to see more fiction for it? We already have some novellas out for it. They're not by myself, but they are very, very fun. You should definitely check them out. Of Legacy of Flame, again, starts in Ironfire and takes us out into the hills, featuring a cinder scale with an unusual set of abilities, to say the least. There's another novella that either is out or should be out shortly, which will take place in Horde Reach, the City of Worms, which deals with a mercenary company of rather unusual individuals, and I would highly recommend giving it a read. But there's also a lot of audio fiction we have from it, fiction that has been taken from the game manuals and turned into audio dramas. Is that something folks would like to see more of? Do they want to see it expanded? Do they want to see whole series? Do they want to see bigger stories? That's one of those things that I am more than happy to make. I am more than happy to make happen, but I can't just do that in a vacuum. I need feedback to show me what people want and where they want it. So if that is an option that you like, in your comment, please tell us what part of the setting you'd like to see it for, and if you want to see print, if you want to see audio, or if you want to see some combination of the two, if you'd like to have a print version of a short story or a novella or whatnot, and then a dramatized version of it you could listen to later. Thirdly, currently Sundara is released for Pathfinder Classic, which is the system I know best personally and I've done the most with, and Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, which, when we started, was the top game that everything had to be released for, but after the whole OGL kerfuffle of a year ago, we've seen a lot of people reach out and try other systems, and not all of them have come back to that one. So, if you are a player, would you like to see those two system releases continue? Is there another system you would like to see it ported to? Suggestions in the past, as I've mentioned in other videos, have included Savage Worlds, Castles and Crusades. Several people have asked for more rules light systems, a more OSR-friendly version. But we need to hear from you specifically, because we can throw darts at a dartboard all day, but we need to know from our audience, what are you most interested in? And while a lot of the stuff we have for Sundara can just be used with any game system, a lot of it is very mechanics specific, so we could go back through and port all those things over, release them for new editions, but that's not a thing that we're going to spend time and energy on if we don't think that's something you all want. So if you really like the idea of the setting, but it's just not available in a system you like and you don't want to do all the conversion work yourself, tell us. Let us know what system you want to see it for, and cast your vote. You know, the more people who say they want it in X, Y, or Z system, the more likely we are to be able to put it out in that system. Let's see, lastly, if folks have any interest in where the setting is going, what's some things they'd like to see in it, what do they feel is underdeveloped that needs more attention, whether it's they want a filled out map, they want a large collection of all the towns, all the cities. That's a thing that we can make once the map is finally filled out, because at the moment we only have a handful of places. We have 10 fully fleshed out towns and villages, and we have 5 cities. There's far more than that in the setting. I've planned far more than that, but it's one of those things that without interest from the audience, it goes on the back burner. It is an unfortunate reality that when it comes to designing tabletop RPG stuff, about 50-60% of it is passion, but the other part of it is what's going to keep the wolf from the door. So if folks seem less interested, less enthused, I get to Sundara when I can, rather than making it my main priority, because main priority goes to what pays the bills. So that is a a thing that we need from you as our audience of, if you want something, if you are very interested in something, if you want to see more of something, please tell us. Because if you can tell us directly, we don't have to play crystal ball with the sales numbers and projections on figures, because there are so many different things that could play into that. People might have been intrigued by the cover art. They might have read a review and found out it wasn't for them. They might have just gotten it as part of a bundle. We can never really guarantee why someone bought something. But if you reach out to us directly and you tell us what you like or you tell us what you want, especially if you grabbed something from Sundara and you left a review, which you should do if you haven't yet, it really helps us decide where to go going forward with everything. And so, again, we've come full circle, I feel, with this last release in a lot of important, interesting ways. But that's the thing about circles, is once you finish one, you can always start another one. So I would like to know from you all, what have you been most interested in that I've talked about in the past? Of the options I presented, what is a thing that interests and intrigues you? What do you want to see happen? So again, leave it in the comments below, like the video to help raise our signal, and if Sundara is something you've enjoyed or you want to see continue going forward, or you just hope that it keeps going and I keep putting out content for it, tell your friends, get folks to subscribe to the channel, get them to pick up a couple of the books, and as long as people keep asking for it, as long as people keep playing it, I'm going to keep making it. So that's all for me this week, and until next time, happy gaming, everyone.